Today I'll demonstrate our chicken and broccoli stir fry. It's huge in flavor profile and it's an excellent savory option for your keto kid. For this recipe, we'll need butter, chicken, we're using raw, however you can use cooked, broccoli, egg, mayonnaise, and Walden Farms sesame ginger dressing. For the seasonings, we'll need salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. All of these ingredients have already been weighed in advance. The first step for this recipe is to melt the butter in a small saute pan on the stove. Okay, allow the butter to melt, and then we're going to stir in the raw chicken. If you're using cooked chicken, that's also perfectly fine. Just be sure that you don't overcook the chicken. I, of course, will be cooking it longer than you'll be needing to cook it since yours will already be finished. Always remember food safety when it comes to raw ingredients such as the raw chicken. You want to be sure to wash your hands, to use different utensils or gloves, whatever precautions you need to take in your kitchen to be safe. Now I will stir in the broccoli. I cut the broccoli into very small pieces just because the portion isn't that big when it comes to keto, so you want to be sure that it's visually more volume than what it really is. Okay, so I'm just going to let that cook a little. I'm going to season it. We have the garlic powder. Remember that seasonings are very important when it comes to keto. A lot of the fat will dilute the flavor, so you want to be sure to replace that flavor with extra seasonings. Okay, then we have black pepper and some salt. You don't need to use all of those seasonings. Suppose you don't have onion powder in your house or something, that's perfectly fine if you don't use that. You want to be sure that you are stirring this recipe very frequently. Keep in mind the title, a stir fry. So you want to be sure you're stirring it, especially when you're cooking the chicken. You want to be sure that the chicken cubes are cooked on all sides and they're being rotated properly. If you leave the chicken on one side or the broccoli or anything for that matter, it'll start to burn on the one side and then the other side won't be cooked as thoroughly. So you always want to be sure to stir anything that you're cooking over stovetop. Mix it for about 5 minutes because you want to be sure that the chicken is cooked all the way through. The smaller that you cut your chicken, the faster it will cook. However, if you do have, say, one big piece of chicken on there, it will take a lot longer than just 5 minutes on the stove. Be sure to switch your utensils about halfway through the cooking process with the chicken if you're using raw chicken. The reason is because there's still raw chicken on the spatula, so you want to remember that when you're mixing. You don't want to continue to mix the cooked chicken with the raw chicken spatula. So that's why I'm using different colors. So now that the chicken is about, I want to say 75% of the way cooked, I'm going to switch spatulas so this way this one is clean and it doesn't contain any raw chicken product. At this point now you can begin to smell all of the seasonings that you added in. And it's really smelling amazing right now. So definitely want to be sure you're adding in seasonings. All right, so it looks like my chicken and broccoli are completely cooked. So now what I'm going to do is actually set this aside. So I will pour this into a separate bowl just to set aside because we are going to make scrambled eggs. So what we do is we mix together the egg and the mayonnaise. Egg is excellent when trying to hide fat, especially when you're using mayonnaise. Egg is actually able to hold equal or more volume of mayonnaise. So it's fantastic. And stir fries actually, a lot of the time they already do contain eggs. So this is perfect for trying to hide additional fat. Suppose that the butter that you added in the pan before we added the chicken and the broccoli, suppose that that's not enough, you can always add more mayonnaise. All right, so as you can see, we have our egg and mayo mixture. It's nice and creamy looking. So now we're going to pour it in the same pan All right. When you're making scrambled eggs, you want to be sure to keep moving it. You never want to leave the egg in one place, because if you do that, it'll start to harden in one spot and it won't actually turn into a scrambled egg. It'll turn more into a frittata or a stiff omelet. Okay. So it cooks pretty fast. Plus our pan is already hot, so that also helps. Once you see that the eggs are starting to bind together and form a scrambled egg texture, such as this, we will add the chicken and broccoli back into the pan. Now, remember, we're transferring containers a lot, so you want to be sure to scrape out every last bit, because the chicken and broccoli did have butter in it. So you want to get all of the butter out. You don't want to leave any behind. Okay, so we're just going to give this a good stir. Mix all of the scrambled eggs, the broccoli, and the chicken. We want to stir that all together. Okay, and then the last step is we have our Walden Farms sesame ginger dressing. We'll pour that right on in. This is the key to flavor. So if you don't have this in your household, I do recommend getting it specifically for this recipe. If you don't have it and it's not accessible to you, then just add more seasonings, particularly the garlic and the onion powder, since they are a lot stronger in flavor. All right, so now we're going to stir all this together. As you can see, it's coming out awesome, and it's gonna taste just as much. All right, and it looks like our chicken and broccoli stir fry is all done cooking. We can transfer it to a serving bowl now. Just be careful you're scraping the pan out entirely. There is butter in there. There might be some mayonnaise as well. Be sure to get all of that fat. All right, that's it for the chicken and broccoli stir fry. I hope your keto kid enjoys this recipe.
The broccoli chicken stir fry is a delicious way to add in healthy proteins and vegetables to your keto kid's diet. The broccoli can be substituted for a variety of vegetables like green beans, carrots, or bok choy. And the chicken can be substituted for other protein foods like beef, shrimp, or tofu.